All right, welcome back. I hope everyone enjoyed their break and their lunch. I hope everyone ate something good and stretched their legs. So we will be getting started with our third session of the day. Before we do, just as a quick reminder, we are being recorded, so everyone is muted for audio quality, but please be sure to ask questions throughout the sessions using that Zoom chat feature. And when we break up into our, breakout rooms, please be sure to enable your audio so that you can participate. You can definitely unmute yourself to participate during those sessions. So with that, I would like to introduce Jeannie Clark. She'll be leading our third session of the day. So welcome, Jeannie.
Thank you, Brittany. And thanks everyone for joining us for our final session of Grow 2022. So for this session, we're going to open it up for discussions. Tying it all back to the theme of grow, let's think about manual processes that you'd like to see automated or other areas of functionality that could be added to or improved in WebCheckout, ultimately to save you the most time, right? So in order for us to grow, yes, we need a solid foundation. So we've reviewed some key things, key functions and features the past 2 days, but to grow, really, you need to delegate, or you need to integrate, or even automate processes as much as you can, and as much as it makes sense. So the big questions that we have for you, so what manual processes would you like to see automated in WebCheckout, or what areas of functionality would you like to see added or improved? Other questions to get you thinking about these topics are, think about time-consuming or repetitive tasks related to the work that you do in WebCheckout. So how is this process currently managed and performed? Who is performing these tasks? And how frequently does it occur? And why is this task even needed? Right? So let's think about that. And here are some examples of processes that could be automated or improved to save you time. And we wrote this in a user story format. So to provide us perspective. User stories, we use that for our development team to understand, again, who this for, what project, what's the goal, and what's the outcome. So user stories are short. They're typically 1 to 2 sentences. Simple description told from the perspective of the person who wants this new feature or capability. So as a user, I want some goal and then that reason. So some examples of automation or things that can be improved to save time. As an equipment manager, I want to send specific emails to patrons based on the resource type they reserve, so that they can provide specific at pickup and return based on the item type, right? Another idea, as an equipment manager, I want task assignments to automatically assign to my operators based on their shift schedule. So that's utilizing task module and the personnel scheduling module, automating those and integrating as well. And as a department, so we want students to submit all their project requirements in Patron Portal. So all information related to equipment access and usage is managed in Web. And then as a department, we want to set up a sequence of events in order for a patron to be approved for equipment usage, so that we no longer have to manually track status, to send emails, or move the process along. There's a lot to unpack in these, but these are some ideas just to get you guys, get the conversation started. Okay. So in small groups, and I think we're going to keep this into just 2 groups. I'll be leading a group, and then I'm going to have AJ Ootman lead the second group. Thanks, AJ. So in small groups, let's discuss these topics, and let's write your user stories, or just come up with these ideas, things that could be automated or improved. Ultimately, again, automation and adding functions should save you time. So for the remainder of the day, just to give you an agenda for this session, we'll break into these small groups to network and discuss these things. AJ and I will be taking notes, but during the session, we'll nominate someone or 2 to represent these stories, and then we'll regroup as a big team to discuss all together. We'll then break out again into a smaller group, into a group again. We'll mix it up, new groups, and then we'll discuss which of these features would be most impactful to you and why. And then finally, we'll come back into a big group again, and we'll discuss as Grow 2022, this is the most impactful that we agree could make the most impact for us to grow. And so we'll vote on that, hopefully come to a consensus and we'll go from there. All right, so give me one moment here to get everyone into breakout rooms. We'll be in 2 breakout rooms. And as a reminder, with Zoom breakout rooms, you should get a little pop-up that says the host has asked you to join a breakout room, and just click join. Please unmute, and if you'd like to show your face, we welcome that. But as long as you participate in the discussion, that's all we ask for. All right, great. We will break into groups and we'll reconvene in about 45 minutes. And we'll go from there. All right, everyone, have a great time. Great discussion. Give me 1 second. Let's make sure. Okay. Open all links.
For those of you folks who are still here, everyone is starting to move into their breakout room. So I would suggest doing so. If you're seeing that little pop-up display, you should be able to move on over to your breakout room to continue this session. You folks also select that more button. You should see a breakout room option, I believe, if you missed that pop-up to join your breakout room. If you're wondering where everyone went, it was to a breakout room. Are you folks able to hear me? Just checking in with the folks still in the main room. If you're wondering where everyone went, in case you stepped away from your computer, folks have joined breakout sessions. If you're having trouble joining a breakout session, please feel free to let me know and I'd be happy to assist. If you're not joining, that's okay too, no pressure. But just let me know if you need any help or have any questions or concerns. All right, just checking in with everyone still left in our main Zoom meeting. Once again, if you stepped away from your computer and you're wondering where everyone went on this meeting, folks have joined their breakout sessions. If you need help joining your breakout sessions and you want to participate, feel free to let me know on chat or using your microphone, and I'd be happy to help you out. If you don't want to join, that's okay too. Just let me know if you need any help. Hey, Sean, since you're just joining, folks have joined a breakout session. So do you want me to assign you to a breakout room? Would you like to participate or listen in on the conversation?
I'm mostly just listening in. Thank you for the offer, though.
All right, well, in this room right here, nobody's participating. There's not going to be any conversation in here, but I'm happy to join, send you to a room. How does that sound?
That sounds just fine. Thank you.
I'm going to send you. Would I send you to the room with Eric? Actually, let me check in with Jeannie to see who has the most lively discussion. Give me one moment. I'll get you in one. All right, and once again, for the folks who are still on this main call, if you need help joining a breakout room and you want to participate, please let me know. I'm happy to assist. But it seems like most folks have stepped away. That's totally okay. All right, I am going to, it looks like Jeannie's room is a little more active. So I'm going to go ahead and send you over there. How does that sound, Sean?
I'm in.
See if I get you over there.
Okay.
All right, you should see a pop-up asking you to join a breakout room.
All right, I'm doing it now.
Okay, bye.
Ta-ta.
For any folks still waiting, if you want to join a breakout room, just let me know and I'll send you over to one. If you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to let me know while I'm in this call. All right, for those of you folks who are still in our main Zoom session, I'm just checking in to see if anyone, make sure everyone was aware, all of the other attendees have joined a breakout room. People have not left this session, they're just in a breakout room. If you would like to join a breakout room, please let me know. I can move you to one, or I can provide you with instructions to get you into one of our breakout rooms where the discussion is currently going on. All right, we should be finishing up, or the team should be finishing up their discussion at around 2:15. And then we will come back here and you can hear those presentations from the teams between 2:15 and 3:00 p.m. All right, let me know if you folks want any help or want to join a Zoom meeting or a breakout room. All right, just checking in with the folks who are still in the main Zoom meeting. If you came back to your computer after you stepped away and you're a little confused, wondering where everyone went, everyone did join a breakout session. If you want to join in on the fun too, there's just 10 more minutes left of discussion in these sessions. If you want to join a breakout room, just let me know. I can try to walk you through joining one. And if not, that's cool too. Feel free to sit back, hang back. The group will be back here at 2:15 p.m. and we'll discuss together as a group. All right, I'm just checking back in with the group again. So you folks who are still in the main Zoom meeting, just to make sure everyone's all right. See if you had any questions or concerns. If you just stepped back to your computer, you're a little confused, wondering where everyone is. Everyone has moved to the breakout sessions, but those sessions will be ending in now 4 minutes. So just sit back, relax. Everyone will be rejoining this main Zoom room here momentarily. Then you can listen in on the discussion from there in the main group. But we will be breaking up back into breakout rooms for a second time as well. All right, but just sit back, relax, no pressure to join a breakout room, but you can expect everyone to be back in this main room in about 4 minutes, so right at 2:15. Thank you all for sticking with us. Hello, welcome back. Hello, welcome back. For anyone that just joined us from a breakout room, you are muted. So just letting you know in case you're trying to talk to the group. Welcome. For those of you who did just join, we do have folks that are on a few breakout rooms. They'll be joining us. It looks like those rooms will close within the next few seconds. So welcome back. Don, it looks like you went and got a snack. So good job. Maybe that's where you went. That's where I would go.
See, there's still donuts left over in the break room.
Snacks are essential.
Sugar rush.
Brittany, we
Well-
went to a Stranger Things kind of place, an underworld or whatever they call that, otherworld or
The upside down.
the upside down. Yeah.
Welcome back.
Okay. All right. Thanks. Thanks everyone. Is everyone back, Brittany? I'm off co-hosting right now, so.
Yeah, it looks like everyone has come back, or the rooms have closed.
Okay.
Maybe
It's lost.
All right. Okay. Well, I hope you guys found that helpful and educational. I found it informative. I found it informative listening in. And because I was moderating this team, I will volunteer our team to go first. Yay. And we took the assignment a little bit differently. Instead of one person, we're going to have those who submitted these ideas tell us what they would like to see automated or improved to help save time. So I'm going to kick it off, and I believe the first one was Paul. Paul.
All right, thank you everyone, and thank you Jeannie and the team. So we talked about communication is something we are doing very often with our customers and trying to convey information. Some of it's more pressing and timely than others. And looking at, SMS communication, obviously it's the way we talked about, it's like when we need to reach out to student workers to change shifts and things like that. It's how we get quick responses. And so looking at that as an option to get better communication, or more timely communication. Also touched on a little bit about automating inventory reporting. So, performing inventory is very easy to do. But the reporting aspect it requires more skill and a little more time. And so if there's a way to automate that so we can, at the end of the day, just know, hey, for this particular resource type, is there something we haven't seen in a while? Is it missing from inventory, or do we need to escalate and have a closer look and have someone else look at that? So I'll hand it over to our next member of our team.
Yep, that was Annie. Thanks. Thanks, Paul.
Hello, my name's Annie, and my feedbacks are the repeat reservations. So I heard yesterday that there's a nice improvement with creating repeat reservations in the August release, and so I'm really excited about it. But aside from that, we would love the ability to select what we would like when we copy a reservation. So right now, when you copy allocations, if you do RRTs, it will go back to reserving RRTs, but we would like to be the ability to say, I want to copy whatever that was originally checked out for the same start and end time of the checkout. Because right now it defaults to, in our instance, it will be 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And then we'll have to remember what the original reservation start time and end time was. This next one also mine. Personnel scheduling and assign to task. We would love to see with the integration of the scheduling module that we can create assignments. Task assignment gets automatically assigned
Julie, on time.
for our operator or student workers to receive their task notes.
Okay, and then the last one.
Yes,
Was
the end day search default to 11:59 p.m. I'm sure a lot of people make the same mistake, and when you click find, you can't find anything for the day. Right now, it's either you do it on the 13th, 12 a.m. to 14:12 a.m. or 13:12 a.m. to 11:59 p.m. So these are my feedbacks.
Thank you, Annie. And then we'll open it up to Don. Don with the last two.
Yeah, I had two quick ones. On allocation notes are oftentimes we have student workers at the desk and they are not clicking over to the other tab to find and read the allocation notes on reservations. So they're missing, maybe there's a different room a faculty member wants it delivered to instead of their classroom or something, and they're missing those. I'd say at least 50% of the time, no matter how many times I remind them. So I was hoping that when they click on the allocation number and go into the page where they can start scanning barcodes of items to add them to the reservation, that there might be some kind of pop-up that maybe they have to click a X on to close that lists the allocation note, or maybe just the allocation note field is on that same tab, but right at the top of the equipment list, which will force them more to read the allocation note. And then the other one was just the ability, if there's any way to do it, some way to generate and print barcodes more directly from WebCheckout versus going to a separate solution.
Thank you so much. And then we'll go on to AJ.
Awesome. I think Migdio will talk about these. They're on a couple pages. My note taking is not as neat as Jeannie's was. That looks great, Jeannie. So I'll have Migdio go ahead and hop in at that first one.
Thank you, AJ. I'm here joined by Sabrina, my colleague here on campus. For those of you who don't know me, Migdio Dominguez, Lehman College, City University of New York in the Bronx. And we have an example of the use of bundles and Patreon portal. And one issue we're having when working with bundles is that if one of our faculty, for example, is reserving 2 or more camera kits, is that each kit, since it's being reserved as bundle, it's bunched together. And that means that all the cameras in each kit stay together, the microphones, the batteries, the memory cards, etc. Right? The problem with that is, as these kits is distributed, each one of them is managed by a different student, or in this case, other faculty. To tell who was using what and what's missing from where. And we were thinking of the possibility if we could have each one of the bundled kits remain as grouped items that are together in the WebCheckout platform. So that way we know, for example, that camera 5 had this microphone and this battery, and the other kit has, those components. And the reason we want to do that, again, just to reemphasize, is that we would know if something was switched from one kit to the other. We would know who was handling the equipment to a certain extent, and we would have more control over the gear. As I was telling AJ and the group, is that when the equipment comes back, sometimes components from one kit is bunched up in another kit. And so we tried to figure out, where was this? Which camera kit has this gear? So we wanted to keep it organized just for those multiple examples. And I think that's one of the things we want to see, the possibility of improvement. On the other hand, then Sabrina had a request for the personnel scheduling.
Yeah.
And do you want to talk a little bit about that, Sabrina?
Okay, as far as the personnel schedule module goes, we were discussing that we wanted something that's more automated in the sense that, for example, in which one of our staff takes a week off. For example, I want to be able to scratch that person off the schedule automatically. It should be something automatic instead of me having to do if he's out from Monday through Friday. I would have to do it day by day. It doesn't really generate. I would have to do everything that person's schedule individually.
Yeah, and one of those things is that when we create the schedule, it's a daily schedule, and if there's one change you, for that one person, you have to do it perhaps once it's created, right? You have to do it one by one. You don't have the ability to select, okay, I want to move this group of schedule for this person. I want to move them for the morning instead of the afternoon. And so there is a little bit of rigidity in the app, basically. That I think is the correct way to say it. There's a little bit of rigidity that we would like to see some flexibility.
Thank you both. Jeannie, do you mind hitting the next slide?
Not at all.
If you don't mind. And then feel free, Dustin, if you want it all to talk about your request, I could also talk about it too.
Sure, I can go through it briefly. So basically, my request was to have, well, so we have student worker laptops that we use. So the students at the desk basically use those laptops every day. And then like I'll have my laptop as well. They're all touchscreen laptops. So when people check out items, we use those laptops as tablets for people to sign a PDF for a checkout agreement when they want to check something out. And so basically the process is we pull up the form in the PDF in Adobe, we turn it around and say, hey, can you sign this form for me? You know, they sign it for us, we save it, and then we upload it to WebCheckout. And you know, like I was saying this before, it's really not like a huge deal, but it would be nice if there was a way to have that be like automatic, so that that form is built into WebCheckout, so that when the person signs it, we can just hit submit, and it's just automatically attached to their person in WebCheckout, and we don't have to go through the step of, you know, saving the PDF and uploading it. The drawbacks of that are it's a little extra time, and also it kind of clutters up my my computer, you know what I mean, with documents, all these checkout forms, and I'm like, okay, they're just in this folder, you know. And so yeah, it'd just be nice to be able to have that more automatic.
So for your process, is this signature required for each reservation? So every time they reserve, or at the beginning of the semester? Is it a one-time?
We do it per semester. You know, there are times where I'm sure that those forms don't get uploaded, you know what I mean? Which is kind of another drawback, right? It's like, well, sometimes it just gets missed by a student worker or whatever, you know what I mean? So it would be nice if it was automatic that way to ensure that it's uploaded. And then, you know, even though we do them at the beginning of the semester or the first time someone comes to check out something in the semester, I find us almost every time we do a checkout somehow still doing forms, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Certainly not every time, but pretty often we're still doing a form, you know what I mean? And so it's definitely something that we get a lot of use out of.
Yes, that's great. Thank you, Dustin. And I believe that was recently discussed in our users list too, kind of similar, the agreement form, how they're managing that. A good hot topic.
Yeah, and then we also had Kathy at Oberlin talked about components. Kathy, do you want to say anything about that request? I can also just talk about it. So one thing Kathy brought to the team was the ability to customize a components list, so that way the ordering is in the exact order that you're wanting it in, which I thought was a great request. And then on our next page was what Migdio talked about at the beginning with bundles, and that's what we talked about.
Thanks, AJ. And thanks, AJ and Dustin and Migdio, for sharing your ideas and user stories. So this is a smaller group, and we're gonna mix it up and have you all meet others. But given that it's a small enough group, would you guys like, I'm going rogue here, can we just meet as a group together, all of us, and discuss of these ideas? What is the most impactful for you? I can try to put this in a note, but we'll start with what AJ's team brought up. So I'm gonna put it on to Don and Paul and Annie and Marilyn. Any of these ring to you? the kits and components tab, I've heard this, and AJ, was Kathy referring to just the order that they print out, or actually in the detail of, or both?
Yeah, and I misspoke. So it's actually Shelly. Shelly, I apologize. My brain's a little, I was thinking of someone else in the group. So Shelly originally brought this up. And, you know, Shelly, feel free to hop in, but was talking more about on the resource components tab, seeing that list there.
Yes.
That you can customize. So they don't necessarily have an alphanumeric ordering, but that they're able to control the ordering.
Yes, and that, and you said it's Shelly from now. Any of these features and personnel scheduling, that's also very interesting. Annie from SCU also uses it, or has used it, and has given us feedback as well. And Sabrina, you are currently using it, but would like just some more additional functions and automation.
That is correct.
Great. And the discussion that's happening on chat, feel free to bring this to the room. If Paul and Migdio, if you guys want to make that clear, go ahead.
Yeah, we were just having that conversation on the chat, Paul and I, and you know, I might have been confusing people when I use the word kits. We indeed have the bundles module, and that to me has been the magic sauce to our success, I think, because it has released my staff and the users from selecting what they want and just giving them one click. Select the date, save it, they can go on their normal lives. And when we are checking out, ready to check for the checkout, we just grab the items that are listed in the order. So I think that's what I should have said earlier. This is when we are using the bundles module. And Paul and I were just having that conversation on the chat.
Yeah, that definitely helped us years ago. And you're talking about some of those challenges where things end up getting mixed between the kits or whatever, or someone doesn't return it and then the whole kit's down. And basically we keep all those other resources that are needed just in separate bins, like batteries in one bin, charge another, and then we just pull based on orders, so it never takes down one kit if someone forgets something, stuff like that.
Right. The technique for us that worked, the sauce, we keep the cameras, we keep the microphone, the headset, and the slate inside the bag. Then the batteries, the tripod, and everything else is separate. But the reason that the bundles are magical is because if something is broken or missing from that bundle, we can grab it from another kit, right? And that's what makes it flexible for us. I didn't want to have, because kits mean that it stays with it wherever it goes. And that's for us what's restrictive and complicated. And it would have limited us in the number, in the way we check out things quickly. And so that's why I want to make sure that we all know that we're talking about bundles, that when you make that reservation, the bundles are listed as they're organized by the type, right? So I think that we want to see the bundles stay together as what they are and what we choose for each bundle. And I don't know how hard that would be. I mean, even as I think about it, I think Lee is going to have his job cut out for him.
That's a tricky one, and I wonder if Brittany has any thoughts to this too, to put you on the spot, because you've got a specific camera that you want with a bundle. Could you do that with a kit and a bundle?
So you have a specific camera that you want to use within the bundle. trying to make sure I'm understanding.
No, you know, when you go to the patron portal and you, we only allowed reservation by resource type on our portal. And in the portal, there are the bundles, right? So we have the camera bundle, we have the DSLR bundle, etc. Right? So when you go to select the bundle, you just double click, and if you have the authorization, you'll be able to reserve one bundle, right? And that bundle has the camera, and it's not a kit per se, it's just a bundle. So faculty, however, we have authorized them to reserve in one reservation up to 5 bundles. And the problem we have with those bundles is that the WebCheckout reserves 5 cameras, 5 microphones, 5 headsets. And when you check them out, they are listed organized, very neat, right? But you don't know which microphone is inside which bag, or you don't know what group took what, because sometimes what the faculty does for us, our professor, is that he brings his students and he goes, here's one kit for you, here's one kit for you, here's one kit for you, and here's one kit for you. He doesn't have them make the reservation for the class.
Right.
The class is fine. So then if you know what I mean, it's just like, we don't know who took camera 1, we don't know who took camera 2, we don't know. So I was thinking, well, maybe there's a solution to that. And that is maybe WebCheckout, when somebody makes a reservation for multiple bundles, that the bundles stay together, as you scan them. So maybe you got the opportunity to see, okay, Sabrina, here's bundle 1, go ahead, pack that together, scan it. Here's bundle 2, next, right? Pack that goes together. And then in the reservation, it doesn't matter who the professor gives it to. I know what was on camera 1, I know what was on camera 2, etc., or back to whichever way you want to set it. And so what we did, and this I explained to AJ, is that we were so bummed out, and we say, you know what, let him reserve 5. When we get the reservation, we split it apart and we make it into separate checkouts. So each camera has a separate checkout, each camera has a printout, but that is not the automation we were talking about at the beginning, right? So we were talking about automation of that process.
Right. Equipment
Does that
manager.
make sense? I see your head spinning, Brittany.
I just have a question. When you pull these bundles, are they like every item is individual, so separate in the checkout center, or is all items in a Pelican case?
All items are in a bag like this.
Got it.
Yeah.
And
So you have the compartments, right? And every item for us, it's barcoded. The microphone transmitter, the microphone, the batteries are unserialized. So we unserialize the batteries in that bundle.
so the thing that I'm kind of thinking of is if in the resource ID, there was some sort of identifier to point to which case each of those items should live within, if that would make sense. So kit number 1 would have number 1.
Yeah, that's how it is. The bag has a number. It's number 9, for example. And so we know that in bag number 9,
Camera number 9.
we put camera number 9. So that is kind of a kit, right? But this is just a container, right? So it's the other components that I'm worried about. The microphones can switch. The batteries, how do you keep? We have 40 batteries, and we don't give out more than 2 batteries in each bundle unless it's requested. And so that I don't mind it so much, but I do mind that every other component that goes in this bundle, it's listed as being there, but there is no way to do that right now in the checkout or in the reservation. It just puts it all together.
And actually, Paul said it so succinctly in the chat, but I think what Migdio and what Shelley also brought up, the 2 things are that, you're right, if I could read what Paul said, that customers want to see their items listed on their checkout or even in WebCheckout in different ways.
Paper copies, when they're going through the equipment, they
Yeah.
want it listed so that it makes sense to them when they're going through it. and that can be very different depending on the person.
Yeah. And when you do that checkout, you get a gigantic printout because everything is there.
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
I've had some customers say, I want every department, separate. So I want sound separated, I want grip separated, I want camera separated. That's a huge task. I want others that say, okay, I want it separated by what's in what case. And some things are easy to predict, but there's a lot of times when things end up in AKS, all kinds of stuff cases, because there's sometimes difference between they're shooting in the studio on the road and how it's built. But they don't want to open a case and then have to hunt through pages and pages to find the item they're trying to check off.
Yeah. Hearing this, is it safe to say that this would be one of the most impactful items for many of you? It sounds like for Migdio and for Shelley, just the customization, the being able to customize the forms and what information is printed out. This one.
Yeah, Jeannie, that is perhaps what I would like to see it heading towards too, because if in one reservation, each bundle can get its separate printout, that might be perhaps, after the scanning has been completed. Remember, we do reservation by resource type. After the scanning of the reserved resources has been performed by the staff person, the student in this case, that once you close that one bundle, then you get a printout for that bundle, and then you move on to the next bundle, and then you get a printout for that bundle, and then you complete the next bundle, and then you get a printout for that bundle, and then it's all part. It's similar. I mean, maybe this is similar to the projects module that you guys, projects, what it's called?
Green lighting.
Yeah, green lighting. Yes, that's probably similar to what the green lighting module is doing, but I don't know if it does it in exactly this fashion.
That ordering list, then even and also just hearing from two groups, we talked about personnel scheduling. Is it fair to say to Annie and to SCU and to Lehman that personnel scheduling and improvements to that, it would be impactful for your operations?
Yes.
Future improvements? Okay.
I think it is definitely cumbersome to only be able to copy like edits and do 1 week at a time and then go back to that week and then copy to additional weeks. And if we need to make changes, it's, yeah.
All right. And then I think what Doc touched upon, kind of the operator aware of allocation notes, and Shelley talking about the order of accessories or maybe the components, but kind of the most pertinent information is on screen. What is that information that your operators need when they're packing their order, right? So rethinking that the allocation notes, right, that could be improved. So what are those things, if I can just ask you here, besides the content list, when you're packing your orders, what is kind of the most important information that you guys are looking for? I'm sure this is going to be different for maybe similar. So I'll ask that, like, what information is most important to your operators?
So you're saying, sorry, you're saying outside of the suggestion already to do allocation notes on that page?
Yeah.
I think one that you already took note of yesterday was that the ability to see like the green tag for things that haven't been scanned yet or something, just kind of keep that on the list.
Anything else you all want to add? It's most impactful. What if I said we're going to take this list and we're going to pick out one feature for the next release? What should that be? Are these the 3 things that you'd want us to consider? Or, I mean, we can take everything that we've listed, but if we say, is communication a big thing to AJ's group? Would you say email communication, managing that, or
Yeah.
the ways that we're communicating? Communication?
Jeannie, I can say, I've modified our email forms, and on since beginning on version 10, 11, it got really nice. But sometimes you have to know HTML code for certain things. So I wish that down the road, it is more like down to earth for those of us humans. There are no specializing in, HTML coding or CSS. I would love to see something that is more like that, that we leave the code behind and we can use more of a graphical interface that has those options. The way to upload your logo, to put custom text to modify that. I gotta be honest, I have fun doing it, but I don't know many of the users are that specialized, would be having the drive to get into that. So I would love to see something that is more easier to modify, that doesn't require you learning or searching for code.
We hear you there.
I see too that Julie Prouty seconded that in the chat.
Yes, the communication. Customization challenging of using HTML. Julie, Paul brought up a different way to communicate or different means. So instead of just email, is SMS or Google Voice? Annie brought up that they use that. What other sources?
I mean, if we could send text messages, that would be great. Snapchat, that seems to be all they pay attention to, or TikTok, I don't know, but the emails, they eventually turn them out. They're like, oh, I get so many emails from WebCheckout, I don't even pay attention anymore. But I try to tell them, look, WebCheckout's not just trying to say, hi, how you doing? They're sending you a message for a reason. Yeah, any innovation we can make in the messaging.
Julie, I have an example. We started checking out laptops during the pandemic, and now we have some 40 laptops in the hands of students who are not already enrolled, and their emails are technically dormant. So we don't have a way to communicate with them. So the feature of having instant messaging will get through them. One student came to our office saying, out of his own will, he brought back the laptop. He says, I'm not checking my campus messages. I'm not a student anymore. So I think that's a great idea. If we can capture the student's personal phone number, we'll be able to reach out to them in a more efficient way that it'll talk to them better, I think.
Right, they're more likely to look at it because actually reading emails is not a part of their common experiences. It is for us. So that would be great. And my other priority would be the visibility for the operators. Having the unscanned items rise to the top. It's often because we have many resources. And if it's visible, these are the ones that you haven't scanned yet. Would be really helpful. A lot of times I'll go out and they're like, Julie, this is not working. WebCheckout's not working. Because there's 100 resources and there's one little tripod plate or something that they haven't scanned. But only because I have experience, I can visually scan that extensive list and pinpoint the problem.
Mm-hmm.
If the remaining resources that are unscanned were at the top or color coded, it would be super for for speeding things up.
Yeah, exact same thing, Julie, is we're not using enforcement of barcode scanning, so we don't get the visual red green yet. And the only way we've trained people in the past is like, look if it says RRT, if it's 2RT or 2ID, which is really small. And I'm thinking about turning on forced barcode scanning because of that. But I know there was conversations yesterday about that topic too, but that'd be great.
I love forced barcode scanning. My opinion is you only scan the barcodes if you ever want to see the thing again.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I started enforcing barcode scanning 3 years ago. And from that moment on, I don't have the problem of who scanned this. This is not the right device because WebCheckout definitely picked one, but it wasn't the one that went out. So yes, we definitely use it.
And your phone now, your phone camera can read barcodes now. So Katie Klosterman at UMich is using it for mobile inventory, and you can use it for checkouts and reservations. So you can generate your barcodes, you can use your phone or even an iPad to scan them. You're not purchasing a barcode yet, a barcode reader.
I am interested in that, but I don't know about requiring students to use their personal phones to do their job.
Yeah, do you guys use do you have iPads?
They have laptops and I provide wireless scanners.
Oh, yeah.
But I like the idea, of the phone scanning in a lot of situations, like for our events people that are taking equipment and moving it from space to space and so on like that. I like the idea. I don't know about making them use their phones.
I agree.
I've heard that too before, Julie.
If her student operators were using their actual personal phones or what they were doing with that. We could follow up with that. Was for operators. Is there anything that I missed or I may have misunderstood? Take this back to our development team. Julie brought up another one, priority, improved visibility for operators. All right, so with this short list of four, can we agree that this is our top 4?
Can I add end of the day time change?
Oh, that one, that's a quick,
hopefully
a quick one. I should not say that. For Annie, it's a big one, the find page, dates, default.
That's also good because people don't have to think of, wait, is 12 o'clock today or tomorrow?
What I'd like to get to, if we could just from this do a 1, 2, 3. This will impact most of us. This will impact most of us, some of us, maybe 1 or 2 of us.
Jeannie, I want to, and this might not be a big one. This is mostly for administrators, I think. I think I mentioned to the group that I manage our Zoom licenses, and Zoom has one particular feature, which is for the administrators, there is a dashboard, and the dashboard has a rich amount of data as to the information regarding the platform. So I asked for this a while ago. I know it's down the bottom, but it would be nice to see something that is graphical. I use a dashboard in my office, and Julie too, I think you do have it as well.
Mm-hmm.
And the dashboard is fantastic when people come in and they see it, but I'm looking for something that an administrator or a manager would love to see. The load of the day, how it's looking in a graphical way, how many returns are expected for the day in a graphical way. So in Zoom, I can see, for example, which hardware is the most popular, whether it's Windows, Mac, or PC in a number. What is the version that people are most using? So I can see in a graphical way how people are updating their app, how many hours or minutes are being used, and who is the leader user of minutes in the app. So granular information like that in a graphical way that doesn't require for you to scroll down, because on the dashboard, for example, you have to scroll down to see what's your day's load. But in a graphical way would be nice. So I don't know if that's something that can be push up the list of features, but I think it's very useful.
Well, Migdy, I think we could achieve all of that with the data feeds. And, you know, maybe we can explore that. So it'd just be kind of a view for you, but it would be always up to the minute.
Right. That would be really cool. And that, you know, we can provide to our administrators so they can see them for themselves in a really rapid way if they have to report to the higher ups above them too. So yeah,
That
something
would
like
be great. I've
Yeah.
used the, exporting reports and making pivot tables and so on, but they're not up to date. And then no matter how creatively I present them, they're like, hey, but what about this?
One,
Well,
Go
what
back to
about
the drawing
just
board.
Saturday hours? What about this? What about that? And it's like, listen, I already spent like 3 days putting this together. I didn't think of that question.
yeah. I experimented with pivot tables and I had a lot of fun. But then I was trying to do it 8 months later. And if you ask me how did I do it for the first time, I wouldn't have a single bit of memory of that.
yeah. Julie, I know you kind of have a question pending with us that we'd love to meet with you about and kind of like work through and get that. And, you know, Migdy, I think we could do the same thing. I'm out next week, but like we can get cracking on this so that it's no longer a like a build from scratch thing every time, and see if we can just kind of get it to a place where you just bring up a web page and there it is.
That'd be beautiful and exciting and make my life a lot better at work.
Okay.
That would be just wonderful.
If you guys
Okay,
are
yeah.
open to it, if it doesn't take this, we've talked about data feeds. Eric has, I have, we've mentioned it's one of our favorite features in this reporting. If you guys are interested, you may have already seen this, but I'm happy to pop open my Google spreadsheet, my Google report. The only, this would be, the data is still running. The only thing is I'm not using this instance to put, so there's no, this instance isn't being used. So unfortunately, the data is not generating as much as it is current. Thank you. But we use, this is from our data feed. The data feed is pulled into Google Sheets. I'm just going to take and change, I'm going to change this to next year or last year. But this is much easier to use than pivot tables because you're actually, when you're using this editor, it's mostly just clicking and dragging. I'm not doing a great job explaining how to use Google Data Studio, but all this to say is there is an easier solution than Excel pivot tables. It's a Google function, it's a Google system, so it's more user friendly. But with this is all data from the Find Resource Schedules report. I'm able to see which department, the number of patrons, total complete count of resources, average count of resources per checkout, and total usage hours within this date range. So I can change this to right, May to June of 2021. I think that's all. I did that correctly. I don't think I'm May. And let's change this to June and let's apply. Okay.
Well, and could you go in and show those other reports you have over to the
Yes,
side too?
so I could do that to show you it should work, but we'll go to next year or last year. I can break this down by the usage type. So of all of my types, here are the total resources that were checked out. And this is how many I have in my inventory. So I have 5 of these, but 8 were checked out. And these were the total usage hours based on my type of item. I have.
Jeannie, I must say that we have it right now on the resource. You can dive into this, but as a group, you have to do it one by one.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
here you can pull it all and see, okay, out of all of my cameras, which one is the one that's heaviest used? If I wanted to know that, I have to go to each and every one of them and look at the total hours, and it's just a hassle.
Yeah, you want to see this in a graph, right? So I could take or into a chart. our
Yeah,
graph?
yeah.
I have it in a chart, but yes, with this, then with Google data, you could just take this and turn it into a graphical view and not a chart, not the actual data.
So here's time of day, like here, oh, this is a time comparison, time
That
of
was
day.
this was year 2020 to 2021, because I've got that date, and then I have day of week comparison. Let me just move this back to last year.
Yeah, so if you want like a time of day and you want to see when you're busiest, then that's a very simple graph. It's in this list, I'm pretty sure. And like that might help you decide when to staff part-time workers, for example. Or it might even inform like how you set some of those delivery windows, those what would you call it, those the things that Ryan liked the most, the restricting the number of checkouts and reservations that can happen at one time.
Yeah, information is key, I think. And in my facility, we also provide AV services to in particular venues. And yeah, with this information, I can make an informed decision on whether or not we have the ability to support an event, or if we need to staff even more, like you say, Eric. So this is the kind of data that will help us, grow and not go crazy.
Yeah, this is not a module. This is not anything you have to buy. We have to enable it on your system, just to, like we kind of want your permission to enable it. But it's all data that's in your system right now. It's just a matter of like getting at it better.
So if I log into Google Sheets, go ahead.
Is this like an enterprise Google solution, or is this just the standard Google system?
We have just a standard Google, and I'm pretty sure we could configure this to just show up in your like it could. I mean, I'm sure we could work it out. There's probably a few details that you wanted to log in, but it's a regular old Google account.
So you're talking about the graphs and the charts. You can just
Absolutely.
I would like that.
Yeah,
that would be game changer.
Oh, we'd want to change that for you. We
because
definitely.
I've been assisted by a developer we have on our team who's been working with me to put it into Power BI.
Yeah.
But I don't know Power BI myself, and he is moving on to become a professor, and we don't have anyone in that position. So I need a solution to.
Yeah, this is really nice. I know Jeannie's brought up Power BI, and it's certainly a way to go. But it's Google Data Studio is free as in speech and free as in beer. So like we can do it. We can do it that way.
Yeah, and this is the big thing of automating the report, is that you see this is the data feed. We'll work with you to set up the reports and the fields that you need out of WebCheckout. And then the data feed is this URL that we just copy and paste into Google Sheets. And then it automatically pulls in the data in real time. So if I were to log in here and make a checkout, this information will pull in here up to the minute, as long as however frequently Google pulls in the information. And then since these are two systems tied together, they're same Google products, you then link the Google Sheet into Google Data Studio, and then it'll update automatically. And you log in, you set up this report. You don't have to refresh anything like you did in Excel for pivot tables. So the big time is setting it up up front, making sure you've got the questions.
Could you show these next couple here? Yeah, the inventory ones.
Questions that you want. And what else? So this report actually pulls in 2 reports out of WebCheckout, not resource schedules, and then also the find resource, your inventory report that includes your status. And I also included the condition grade, right? One of our favorite features. So here's the key of what these numbers mean, the total number of resources, and then your percentage of inventory. And you can change this by resource type. If you're specifically looking for, my light stands, you can apply it only to light stands, and you can see they're all contained. I have 43 of them, and here's 5% of my light stands are 2. They're in good condition, right? And I've included also, we have value. If you guys are collecting value information and using RPM for tickets, you can also look at your resource counts, how many in average condition grade. These are really expensive, so let's make sure we take good care of that.
Uh-oh, I think someone
No,
froze.
I think she froze, but basically this one is one of my favorites, which is like how much, if you put in your replacement dates for all the items, how much would you have to budget to replace it next year, the year after, to kind of just see what kind of cost you might have facing you. We did lose her, I'm afraid. So yeah, there are a lot of really cool reports in there. And I believe that we have enough data in WebCheckout as it is. It might need to be, like munged a little bit to be in better shape, but we have enough data to tell you that, you should make purchasing decisions based on the percentage utilization of equipment and maybe the slope of the curve, if it's on the increase, or the age or the repair status or the number of turndowns. Like, we have this data. And I really believe we could give you something more meaningful there. And I think, rather than get too ambitious too fast, a good starting point would be to take some of this baseline data, get it into your hands, and then give you our sincere wish to make it better and open the door to give us suggestions. We really feel like it's probably a better way to go than to try to meet everyone's individual requests with customized reports, that have to be coded into the product. As nice as it is to be coded into the product, it's perfectly good I think, to have this kind of window that the managers, as you were saying, can always have this up. What do I have? What am I looking at for today? Or what am I looking at for the rest of the week, and all that.
All right. So it looks like Jeannie did just lose her internet for just a moment. So while we are waiting for her to rejoin, we do have some extra time before our closing remarks. So I wanted to open up the floor to see if anybody had any questions they wanted to discuss.
And Brittany, if it's okay, I do just also want to respond to Shelley's question. And I hope I didn't miss this if someone answered it. I think I'm in the storm that maybe Jeannie is, because it's raining really hard, so I couldn't hear part of it super well. But Shelley just asked about if there's a charge for this URL. So Shelley, I know I've met with a few people here on custom data feed. So there is a one-time fee to set up that data feed for our support team to set it up. So essentially what it requires is building out your report. And then once we have those column headers that you'll need for your report, our support team can take that information, build the custom data feed, and then you can pull it into something like Google Data Studios.
You got it. And thank you so much for that, AJ. Since you are clearly looking at the chat and much better at it, are there any other questions that we missed? Want to make sure I'm not.
Yeah, I'll just ask if anyone has something that hasn't been answered, sorry, please pop it in. I know I was a little hard for me to hear at one point. Okay, Julie asks, what is the fee? That's a great question, Julie. We will get back to you on that. I can actually email you that directly, Julie. So I'm just going to add that to my notes, just to send you that fee rate.
Welcome back.
I would be interested in that rate as well. And we're talking about the setting it up so that we can make the charts and reports, right?
You got it. What you're seeing on the screen in front of you, correct?
The data feed. Yeah, this is the data feed. Sorry about that. And then what we create, we use that information to create visual data in Google Data Studio.
Okay.
Yeah, I do, Julie, excuse me. A lot of this came out of conversations you and I had probably 4 or 5 years ago, and that you were kind enough to provide like a sample of the things that you were being asked to provide. And I believe we implemented everything on that list. And but maybe we could take another look at it to see if our understanding was correct. But we definitely love to simplify that and change the game for you, as you said, for your work life.
Yeah, it would. This is very exciting.
And I don't know if we should move on from this, or did you want to talk about this blended report of usage and inventory, or should we move on? So,
well, why not? Why not just mention it since you have it up?
Yeah, since I have it, what the great thing about blending reports, again, you're taking usage data and then your inventory, you can blend them together. So you can see I have 50 internal power. This is inventory count. I'm sorry, inventory count, I have 50, only 4 were checked out, unique items were checked out. So only 8% of my internal power, percentage of that item were circulated. There's a total number that were actually checked out and total usage. So you can get all that information. So if I see my Red Ranger Gemini kit, 100% of that within this time frame, well, I think it's all time, were being utilized. So this might be something we consider we might need to up our inventory of. Things that we don't have much of, why not? Or we're not using much of, that's something maybe to consider. But all this to say, we've got a lot of data, we've got the data, we can help you make this visual. We'll follow up with the data feeds, and this is why this is one of our favorite features. Okay, all right, so with that, then going back to what are most impactful for us, I think if I can reorganize this, I think the allocation notes are just better visibilities of allocation information for operators, may rank number 1. Right, followed by the print forms, how I'm interpreting it, and that's how things are ordered in agreement forms, packing orders, and even being able to print barcodes out of WebCheckout. And then I also hear communication is impactful for most of you, or all of you.
Yeah.
And then patron portal maybe would be next, or manager's dashboard. I'm going to actually ask that to Migdio, since I can open up to everyone actually, but Migdio, since you had both personnel scheduling and graphical interface, what would you say, would you prioritize one over the other, manager dashboard or feature improvements to personnel scheduling, if you had to choose?
If I had to choose, it would be personnel scheduling, because honestly, I have no control over that. If I want to start pulling data, it'll take me time, but I'll pull it, right? So I would say the personnel scheduler.
But I hear you there, and I also hear that manager dashboard applies to most, it applies to all of you as well. So we're not ignoring that. And then Annie, the find page dates, I just added it to the end. I'm not sure how big of a feature that is, so I'm hoping that's something that we could just be an improvement in an upcoming release sooner than later. Yeah. Okay, this is very helpful. Is there anything else anyone want to add to this before we can turn it over to Eric? We end a little early.
I will take that silence as there's no follow-up questions or additional feedback. And Annie, I just enjoyed seeing your cat on the screen up there. All right, perfect. So thank you so much, Jeannie, for a wonderful session. And thank you all so much for everyone's participation and valuable feedback. This would not have been a success without you. So we do really appreciate you taking the time to participate with us and also spend the past 2 days with us. So we are just a few minutes early, sorry? But I do want to welcome Eric Dodson again. He will be providing us with some closing remarks to end our annual user symposium.
Well, I do hope that there isn't a rush of people at 3:30 coming to hear the closing remarks, and then are disappointed that they started early. But I'm pretty sure that's not going to happen. But I do want to thank everyone for attending and for this. We really do hope that it was informative and helpful in a real meaningful way. I know we're not spending a lot of time talking about pie in the sky kind of things, or we didn't even spend that much time talking about the roadmap. I did up in the beginning, but we had this theme of growing, and we tried to apply that theme wherever we could. But I want to thank you all for attending. I want to thank everyone on the WebCheckout team for everything they do to prepare it. They were, everyone on the team except for me was ready 2 weeks ago, and they really put in the time and to do something thoughtful and kind of like test it and prepare it and do something that they really think will smooth out some of the rougher spots or more esoteric spots or maybe lesser understood things that we have in the product. So thanks, team, for doing all that. But going back to this issue of grow, we really want WebCheckout to be a useful kind of a tool, like an ERP package almost, that can help you run as many areas of the business of your business as it makes sense to run. And I say your business, I mean, like your department and the areas of that you have to deal with. And we earnestly want it to be that and be the best tool that it could possibly be. And, we are, I think for you to get the most of that product, we're going to have to make it easier for you to understand, to learn about new features, to talk to the account managers, to see how those features relate maybe to your operation, to answer questions, to have the technical support team provide you with information. We're going to have to do more than half the work to make sure that information is easily understood and applies to you. So, but we do, in the end, the better tool it is for you, then the better it is for us in a lot of ways. If we want to look at it that way. We had those couple of breakout sessions yesterday and today, and part of the intent of those was to really have a feedback loop. So where we're getting more information directly from you. It's we're all busy, you're all busy, and we don't necessarily have time to do this, and it probably we want to do this, make sure that we're learning everything that we can, that we're hearing your voices and hearing your priorities. And I hope the breakout sessions did that. It did for me. I know talking with Ryan kind of sparked some ideas. As you can see, especially there at the end, which is a little bit impromptu and maybe aided by a thunderstorm that Jeannie was experiencing, this whole idea of the dashboard, the data feeds and these graphs, my hunch is that we could provide some information that will let you better see, give you more summarized and visual glimpses into the operations of your business, what's going in, what's going out. Two people with $1 million inventories, one who's 7 years old and one who's 1 year old, they both have $1 million inventories, but they have two different problems on their hands, and they need to consider those things when they allocate their budget in future years. We want to participate. We want to kind of give you those insights so that you can make good decisions. We all are doing more with less. You know, that's maybe that should have been our theme for this thing. But you know, and so, you know, where we can help with the budgeting process and the forecasting process, not just forecasting workloads, but forecasting. We can do some simple mathematics to forecast what repairs you might need to make next year. We have all the data to do that. If you have the repair module and we know what you have repaired in the past, and we know the slope of the curve, we can predict what you might have to repair next year. Obviously, we can't predict somebody dropping something into the ocean, but basic repairs based on historical patterns we can do. So you know, we really, you know, like this kind of a forum and every chance that we get to listen is really meaningful to us and can shape the direction that we want to take WebCheckout and where we can take it for you. So grow your relationship with us too. Each of you has an account manager, and it's going to be Brittany or AJ, and like talk to them. And you know, we want to be more than just a software vendor and you know, someone who tells you how to use our product. You know, we want to, you know, the odds are that we've seen whatever problem you're having as it relates to the management of your inventory. Odds are we've seen it somewhere and maybe provide some tips on how another institution may have solved a similar problem. You know, and then also there are a lot of things like this pick list feature came up a couple times for me during these last 2 days. Like I believe that's a feature that is under publicized by us and potentially very useful for people, particularly if you have large orders, and that you know, we want to make sure that you're using it. And so then, you know, so that's kind of growing, you know, like giving us this feedback and everything. But we want to grow the relationship between all of you, like just kind of observing the interactions between people in these last, particularly today, is wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful, and I hope that was useful for you. And so, you know, we are starting this community site or the collective. We're still a little bit finicky on the term. I happen to like community better, but you know, that'll be coming out soon, and we'll all notify you that. And things like recordings of this will be out there, and questions and these lists that we produce during the course of this meeting will be up there. You'll be able to upvote on them, get like Reddit style upvoting, and you'll be able to like things. You'll be able to subscribe to things. The more kind of useful engagement that we get out of it, or that happens there, then I think the better it'll be for everyone, and it would just be a really nice thing. And again, I do think that there is it's not necessarily a pie in the sky unrealistic thing if we can put some useful information out there. There are a lot of things. For those of you who didn't hear about Nicole's handlebars customizations, you know, or her guide primer, that you know, are really nice, and she did a fabulous job on it. And you know, it might be something that you could use in customizing your patron portal, or there are best practices in inventory management that some of which we talked about here, and some of which like are in a kind of tacit knowledge of people like Katie Klosterman yesterday talking about inventorying 10,000 things with one student worker. Like we should transform that into something that we can all learn from, not just the fact that she did it, but how did she do it, because that's useful that's useful information. So we want to kind of become a little bit more meta, if you will, to just how to use our software, but how to use our software to run things more effectively, and to exchange ideas on how to do things more effectively. Anyway, so that's about it for me. I do look forward to launching this community site here soon, and I do look forward to speaking with you in the near future. And that's it for me, Brittany. Thank you very much for coming.
Yeah, thank you so much, Eric, for those closing remarks. And thank you to everyone again for joining us over the past 2 days. Again, we really do appreciate everyone's participation. And just to clarify, that includes everyone asking questions on the chat, participating in the discussions, and we even appreciate everyone who's sitting in on these sessions. I understand what it's like to be an introvert, so we appreciate you regardless of coming to these sessions. So thank you all so much for taking the time out of your busy days. So I do want to wrap up our sessions today just by highlighting those promotions that we touched upon yesterday. So just as a quick reminder, we are offering 20% off of the Greenlighting, RRT, and Bundles module until September 30th, 2022. So if you are interested in those modules, now would be a good time to add those on. And additionally, we will be extending our move to hosted promotion, which includes 6 months of free hosting when you sign a 1-year contract. So if you are interested in taking advantage of any of these promotions, please be sure to reach out to your account manager. And once again, thank you all so much for joining us. We will have this recording available, or it should be available by Friday, end of the day. So look out for an email. We'll send an email so you all can share it with your colleagues. Additionally, I just want to plug our documentation site. So if you aren't familiar with our documentation site, you can read about everything we discussed over the last 2 days at docs.webcheckout.net. And also, if you do not yet have our support information saved, you can always email support and ask Nicole questions at support@webcheckout.net. And you can also reach support using the phone number 773-477-7019. That's extension 2. Additionally, please be sure to look out for that email introducing our community site so you folks can all register and join in on lively discussions like we saw over the past 2 days. So I hope you all can take at least one thing away to help you and your team grow with Web Checkout. But that's all I have on my agenda for the day. So thank you all again for joining, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day. All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Great talking with everyone.
Bye.
Thanks.
See you all.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.